Tonight, getting an anti-drugs and anti-drink message to our school kids on the Eyre Peninsula. And Whyalla's footy community names its best and fairest for another season.
This is Southern Cross News with Alison Drower.
Hello, it's great to have your company tonight. We start with one of the real safety concerns around driving on our roads. Motorists who continue to use mobile phones while they're behind the wheel. Operation Distraction has so far caught almost 600 drivers across the state, and Port Augusta police will remain on the lookout, ready to issue big fines for offenders. Amelia Simpson has more.
Mobile phone distraction is considered no small offence. After targeting distracted drivers in July, SA Police are again running Operation Distraction this week for many valid reasons.
This is obviously one of the major issues on the road at the moment, where mobile phones are causing a lot of distractions. Over 12,000 drivers were fined last year for using their mobile phone. And it tends to cause a lot of rear-end crashes or drivers veering off the road.
Using a mobile phone while driving can impair your reaction time and also impact your judgment on how traffic around you is moving.
So when you're using your mobile phone, you're not fully concentrating on the road. You're not watching possibly other people crossing the road, or even other people that are suddenly braking in front of you.
So drivers in Port Augusta have been warned that patrol crew you see in the street will be checking to see there's no mobile phone in your hand.
And they're going to be making more observations as for drivers using their mobile phones. Certainly drivers that are constantly looking down at their lap certainly gives us a very good indication that they may be using their mobile phone.
While I'm safely parked, police say that simply touching a mobile phone while driving is considered an offence. If you do, you're 4 times more likely to be involved in an accident, and you might incur a $387 fine and 3 demerit points if you get caught. Operation Distraction will run until midnight on Sunday. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, police have been stunned to pull over a drunk driver in Whyalla Norrie in the middle of the afternoon yesterday to find that he was more than 3 times the legal limit. The 54-year-old was stopped on Viscount Slim Avenue at 2 p.m. and immediately lost his licence for 6 months. School kids on the Eyre Peninsula will soon be given a lesson in how to make smarter choices for a healthier, happier life. The region is set to benefit from a share of more than $1 million to widen the Say No to Drugs message in schools.
For over 30 years, Healthy Harold has become an institution throughout Australian schools. The giant giraffe mascot promotes healthy living and educates young people about making good life choices. Today, MP for Flinders Peter Chalor is backing the opposition's push to get Healthy Harold to more schools in country SA.
It's proved very successful, and we feel that with extra funding it can be rolled out to far more students and right across regional South Australia, including the Eyre Peninsula.
Last year, 16,000 students across South Australia were involved in the program. An extra $1.2 million in funding aims to double that number.
Young people these days are faced with all sorts of challenges during their formative years, and this program assists them in making good choices and healthy choices when they're confronted with difficult situations.
Many regional families are having to come to terms with how to respond to a rise in the use of so-called recreational drugs and also binge drinking. Ongoing drug action teams in Port Lincoln are working to find answers to prevention. Mr Chalor says you can't start early enough to warn kids about the dangers of drugs.
Programs aimed at students in years 8 to 10, those very formative years when they're beginning their adolescence and journey into adulthood.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Port Pirie Council has delivered the first of 5 life-saving defibrillators into the region, with a kit now available at the Napperby Tennis Club. The 4 others will soon be in Crystalbrook, Red Hill and Coolunga. A Broken Hill couple is determined to make one of the city's unique cafes a real winner amongst local foodies and travellers. Caitlin Hickey and her fiancé Daniel Poe have been working around the clock to transform the eye-catching Earth Cafe.
Sitting at the top of Broken Hill's line of load, the Earth Cafe has spent the past 3 years as an empty shell, waiting for a new lease on life. And 2 months ago, the new managers, Caitlin Hickey and Daniel Power, decided they had the vision and the resilience to create a new vibe in this iconic location.
We've been up here all day and all night, but it's worth it, it's paying off.
The cafe has been transformed with new tables, chairs and countertops. Daniel says their concept has a bit of a twist. By day, there is your usual cafe favourites.
Easy sort of going food, like your cake, your coffee, tea, sandwiches, that sort of thing.
But when the sun sets, the cafe will moonlight as a tapas bar with a wide variety of wines and bevies.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, we'll be doing our tapas. That will be going from 5 p.m. Our licence allows us to stay open till midnight. But we might hold the service open until about 10 o'clock or so.
The Broken Hill Earth Cafe will reopen its doors next week on Monday. Both Caitlin and Daniel say they are excited to see what the future holds for a building with such a unique location.
I think the view almost gets better at night, but it doesn't matter what time of day you come up here, it's always beautiful.
We want to cater to both markets the best that we possibly can to make it an attraction site for tourists that want to come up here and learn a little bit about the history of Broken Hill. At the same time also having it as a place for the locals to come up and to enjoy a coffee or, a knock-off drink after work, something like that. Just a place to unwind, really.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
After the break, we talk water in Broken Hill and also how the next generation is being urged to conserve for its future supplies. Welcome back. Well, it is no surprise the issue of water will again be top of the agenda for tomorrow night's Broken Hill Council meeting. 2 motions will be put before Council, both relating to recent allegations of the mismanagement of water in the Murray-Darling Basin.
It's all anyone really wants to talk about, and Council is no different. The city's water future, how Broken Hill has potentially been shortchanged, and what the government plans to do to make things fair.
The motions are really for Council to put in a submission to the inquiry about the potential theft of water and the shenanigans that have gone up north about the water and what the Minister did and what he approved as far as water goes.
The motion comes in response to the Senate Rural and Regional Affairs and Transport Reference Committee calling for submissions in relation to the Senate's inquiry into water theft allegations from the Darling River.
It was no surprise to most locals when it did come out, but this gives us the opportunity to actually make sure that the New South Wales government knows what's going on and make a ruling on that.
The second motion is around Council writing to the state government last month about how angry the community is feeling about the alleged water theft.
Council now behind it means the whole community's behind pushing for water, not just allowing the government to say certain sections are pushing for it. It is the entire community pushing for water in Broken Hill.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, kids from across the Eyre Peninsula have been given a lesson today in the value of water in Whyalla. The Just Add Water show quite literally made a splash today, all in the name of science and sustainability.
You might not think exploding balloons teaches a lot about water conservation, but that's all part of the fun. Just Add Water is an interactive show for school children run by SA Water, helping teach our future leaders about H2O.
The thing that we're talking about with them, with this show, is that it is so precious. I mean, 1.2 billion people around the world don't have access to safe drinking water.
Kids take part in interactive games and trivia rounds with a hint of slapstick comedy, giving science a cool new twist.
We're learning new things all the time in science, so we try to bring what the excitement of science is to the stage.
Mr. Lampard says the format really connects with the audience.
You talk to kids after the show how much information they retain. So while we're being absolute loons and having a great time up here, there is a lot of serious stuff in the show.
And judging by the kids' reaction, the info definitely soaks in.
The most funnest thing was when the people got wet
by breathing, and air has oxygen in it. Air has water in it.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A sign that times are changing in Whyalla, quite literally. The well-known Arium sign at the front of the Whyalla Steelworks has quietly been covered over as a new corporate name is selected by the new owners. There are a lot of rumours around what the new name is going to be, but one thing for sure, it most likely will not continue as Arium. It's believed the new owner, Liberty Steel, may even consider going back for the future and adopting the former name of One Steel. All will be revealed in about a week's time. Well, it is that time of the year when Port Augusta is being asked to nominate a local business that's doing great things for the community. Amelia Simpson has more.
It's an annual event recognising the grassroots of the region. Nominations for the Port Augusta Business Awards are set to open tomorrow.
Businesses in Port Augusta and all around the country work really hard to give customer satisfaction, and it's great to have that reward to be recognised for the work that you do.
Last year, Port Augusta's business accounting firm Rowe Partners was awarded Best Large Business, and this year is participating as a sponsor.
Yeah, look, it's given us a lot of confidence that we're doing the right thing. Certainly with our staff, gives them a good boost as well. And just generally, I suppose our clients get to see, see that we're up there with the best of the businesses in Port Augusta.
Award categories range from the best home-based business to the most innovative.
It's a great opportunity to showcase what you've done and tell other people what you do. A lot of people just, go about their own business and don't like to spruik. But it's a great opportunity to get out there and get your name recognised, let other businesses hear it and let your peers see if, and recognise what you've done.
Business Port Augusta's Darren Sheriff says the event is a chance for businesses to track their progress against their peers.
Improve their own structure as well. Some of them, after they've won the award, start looking at how they can restructure and improve even better again for next year.
Businesses can nominate online ahead of the gala ceremony in late October. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
After the break, we'll have some sport for you, including Whyalla's best and fairest in footy. You are watching Southern Cross News. Now let's go to Jason Kemp in Port Lincoln, and we are getting down to the business end of the local netball series and some really close games over the weekend, Jace.
Ali, finals fever is well and truly here. Port Lincoln and Port Augusta have just finished their regular season, while other regions will embark on their grand final this weekend. In Port Lincoln, Souths got the job done over Imperials by 6 points. Meantime, Whyalla outclassed Boston's by 24 points, and Waybacks continued their hot form against St Mary's. Turning to Port Augusta, Vikings had a strong win over the Magpies as they pushed towards finals, while the Railways blitzed St Joseph's by 23 points. In Whyalla, in the first prelim final for the region, an unbelievable game came down to the wire, just a single point deciding the winner. True Blue progressing over YCW and moving on to next week's grand final. In Port Pirie, it was a similar story. Blue Wren met Central Risdon in the prelim final. Maggie Peterson rallied her team across the line, Blue Wren defeating Centrals by just 3 goals. And finally, in the northern area, Southern Flinders took the points in the semi-final against BMW. Turning to soccer now, and the Lincoln Raiders had a defiant win over the Knights 5-2, while the South Coast went down to the Masters 2-1. Meanwhile, in the Amateur League, West Beach crushed Savoy 4-0. In Whyalla, Still United had a big win over the Wanderers 6-2, while Croatia defeated Westland 6-1. Lastly, in Broken Hill, West forfeited to St Joe's, and Alma had a 0-0 draw against Celtic. And finally, a quick look at Broken Hill tennis. The drop shots defeated the volleys, top spins rolled the Swallows, and the backhands outplayed the forehands. Ali, that's all the sport we've got for another week, but we'll be back on Friday with our expert footy tippers from around the regions. And if you've got some local results you want seen on TV, make sure you drop us a line at localsport@sca.com.au.
And thanks to Jason Kemp there. Well, South Whyalla's Jeff Appleton has been crowned the league's best footy player at the annual Whyalla News medal count. In a tense finish, the midfielder secured his win in the finals rounds of the season, and John Hunt was there.
Whyalla's footy community gathered last night to find out who would be crowned this city's best. West Bend Butler raced out to an early lead before South's Jeff Appleton and Central's Nick De Jong came into the mix. But with 2 rounds to go, Appleton polled votes against Rapina to hit the front, holding on in the last round to claim the medal.
It was a bit of a shock. I didn't have much of a speech plan, but yeah, it's always an honour.
The midfielder has been a strong contributor to South this year in what has been a difficult season for the club. But despite his good form, Appleton says it's always a team effort.
When you've got a good bunch of footballers around you and mates and lads, you could say, it makes a good atmosphere and so everything flows.
It's the second successive year a Demons player has taken out the award, with teammate Mark Phillips winning the medal in 2016. And according to Mr. Appleton, last year's medalist is already claiming credit for his win.
He said he reckons in the last few rounds he let me win it, so he just tapped it to me and let me get the vote. So it was good camaraderie between myself and him.
Mr Appleton polled 16 votes ahead of Samuel Clements and North's James Gruitt. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Well, it's not music to everybody's ears, but hardcore heavy metal fans in Port Pirie are about to get a mega decibel fix of live music next month. Rachel Nell has more details.
For one day only, Port Pirie is ready to rock and rock hard as Metal United Down Under hits town and allows a few local bands to get out of the garage and onto the stage. The event is being dubbed the Australia Day of the metal music industry, with more than 100 bands playing around the country on the same day. 11 of those acts will travel to Port Pirie.
About half the bands on the lineup have either grown up here or lived here or still have family here or visit here for holidays.
Event organiser Daniel Pearce has lived here for the past decade and says the event is a great promotion for the region.
And we were going to do it somewhere else, and then we just thought, why not bring it to Port Pirie? I think it's probably the biggest underground mini music festival that's probably happened in the mid-north.
Port Pirie has gained somewhat of a reputation for being home to young musos with a love for the heavy metal genre.
Kids could be growing up next door to a great band and not even know about it.
Tickets are now on sale and you can throw on your black t-shirt and rock out on Saturday the 16th of September at the Sporting and Community Club for just $20. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Your local weather is next, and it is goodbye winter. We are definitely warming up for the start of spring. Well, by all accounts, spring is definitely going to arrive with a burst of high 20 temperatures later this week. Things are definitely warming up. Port Augusta made it to a sunny 18 degrees today. Whyalla and Port Pirie also had a lovely 16. And Broken Hill needed a little bit of a catch-up, a top of only 14 there, and Adelaide was also on the cool side for 14. The satellite is showing what the Bureau calls some bright high cloud across the southern parts of the state, which won't produce any rain. Skies are all clear elsewhere with that high system. On the water tomorrow, we'll see those winds swing around to the northeast at up to 15 knots, with seas on a southwesterly swell. Sunrise will be at 6:42 and sunset a minute before 6. And so tomorrow we'll start to see some temps on the rise. -1 for Port Augusta and Corn tonight before a top of 20. 0 to 16 for Broken Hill tomorrow. Warmer for Whyalla and Port Pirie, and a sunny 16 if you are heading to Adelaide. Over the next 4 days, Port Lincoln is going to play catch up on those milder temps with tops of 20 before a shower with a weak change on Saturday. 21 and 22 for Cleve for the week's end, and Woodner is going to swap the hoodie for a t-shirt for 24 degrees. It's going to be even warmer for Whyalla by Saturday, 27 there. Port Augusta will go one better than that for 28, and a late change is due in then. And Kadina will enjoy a sunny leap into spring for around 20 degrees. And the next 4 days for Port Pirie will also follow that trend. Maybe a late shower Friday, but clearing for a fine 25 on Saturday. Clare will be 5 or so degrees warmer by the weekend, and Broken Hill also on track for a warm end to the week and 28 degrees for Saturday. Well, that wraps up your local news for this evening. You can stay in touch via Facebook and Twitter, and you can also see any of tonight's stories again on our YouTube channel. I'm Ali Drower, and we'll see you at 6:30 tomorrow for another edition of Southern Cross News. Until then, enjoy the rest of your night.